It's time now for Call of the Wild, the official weekly coaches show of the Wenatchee Wild. Stay up to date with your team all season long with Call of the Wild. With head coach and GM Bliss Littler, here's the voice of your Wenatchee Wild, Arch Ecker.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Call of the Wild, your weekly Wenatchee Wild coaches show. I'm Arch Ecker along with Wild head coach and GM Bliss Littler. A big 3-game road swing taking us through all parts of Western Canada over the weekend. Started off on Friday night in Chilliwack at the Prospera Center. It was a game that all of a sudden the Wild found themselves not just in a hole on the scoreboard, but on the bench very early on.
Well, you know, Arch, adversity strikes every team at some point, and injuries happen that no coach likes them at all. I mean, you feel for the kid, and last year we were so dang lucky that we got through most of the year with just minimal injuries, and then playoffs hit, and that's when it hit us. Hopefully, I guess we're getting these injuries out of the way. That we've been without Vanderbeck for a few weeks now. Hopefully he's recovering well right now. It looks like he's a little ahead of schedule. But you're right. You just feel for little Lucas that he's kind of jumped on the scene here and kind of I'm not. I don't know what the words are, but he really.
Well, he's made a name for himself. He's got a name that's tough to pronounce, but he's really made a name for himself coming into his own.
Well, he has, and I mean, he's one of those players that he's like Brendan Harris, that you anticipate their next shift. You anticipate what's he going to do. Is he going to do something really special? He's got a lot of hockey ahead of him, but with his injury, he's out till at least the first of the year, and that's wishful thinking on our part, and we wish him a quick and healthy and speedy recovery. And but all of a sudden you're down two of your top players, and then just later in the period it just happened with Lucas Sauter, that kind of a freak play blocking a shot, and I'm not going to reveal that injury, but it's an upper body injury that hopefully he'll be back sooner than later. And you're down another one of your top players. But the encouraging thing to me was that we battled, that we were very short personnel-wise, very short leadership-wise, very short on experience, and we battled hard. We battled, and whether we deserved a point or two in that game, I guess it doesn't really matter. But again, I was happy with how we played.
I suppose one of the things you have to feel good about is the fact that it's not just a matter of the heart and the will, but the conditioning. That's something that you've always put a lot of emphasis on, and giving the players, the bodies, the opportunities to heal, and right from the get-go, from the time they show up in August, that conditioning kind of paid in, because you take two guys out of that rotation, and it definitely has an effect by the time you get to the late third period.
No doubt, he was a factor, especially early in the year where, again, I think we're in pretty decent shape, but it's still early in the year, and you just down a couple of bodies that, no doubt it affects you. And like I say, everybody goes through this, so there's not one team in the league that feels sorry for you. That it just is what it is. You deal with it, and on the positive side, when these guys get healthy, as long as we can stop this pattern right now and break this bad luck as far as the injury part, we'll be a better team for it, because a lot of young guys are getting to play minutes and in roles that they probably wouldn't see if all those the few veterans we have, if they're in the lineup, that they're going to eat up most of those minutes.
And which leads me to the next night in Powell River. That's what I was going to say. You got that opportunity to see some of these guys put into roles and positions that they're not normally in, or afforded the opportunity for. And again, it was another game where got in a little bit of a hole, but had the resiliency to bounce back. Ended up coming up short. But again, there were still growth moments and positivity to be drawn from that game.
For sure, Arch. Again, that's the best, or one of the 2 or 3 best teams that I think are in the league right now. That one thing with Paul River is they never beat themselves. That you're never going, oh wow, that with a lot of great individual plays, they make a lot of really good plays, but they just never beat themselves. That they do a great job of taking care of the puck, and they have so many quality veterans up front, that so many guys that are dangerous, that I was very happy. I thought we limited their chances. We kept them under 20 chances, where I thought that was pretty good with the team they have. So, with about halfway through the game, I think shots were 13-12 them, and the chances were pretty even. And then we took a penalty, and I think with the penalty we took, the energy we exerted on the penalty kill, it affected us the rest of the night on the power on our forecheck. That you could just tell that being down on numbers, that the conditioning came into is a factor. That they were rolling pretty good, and we just didn't have an answer. That they showed they're a veteran team, and it's something that we have to learn from. But again, I liked our effort.
The ball kept rolling on to Sunday, and on Sunday, we talked about it in the pregame show, everything seemed to be stacked against your team. You come in, you'd lost 2 in a row. The daunting travel with the 2 ferry rides, the early in the morning up and a 2 o'clock face-off against a team that had had the night off before. I mean, everything was stacked against you. But at the same time, as you've said before, you know what? There's a game on the schedule. Got to go.
That's just how it is. how the BCHL does the scheduling, how it's put together. There's never, in my opinion, there's never any consideration about who plays the night before, who doesn't, and how the schedule works out. That there's some nights it works in your favor, and other nights that it doesn't. And, that 3-3, our third ferry ride. An afternoon tilt. They're sitting there pretty fresh, waiting for us. We had a lot of things, a lot of adversity going against us. It would have been real easy for our kids to throw in the towel and say, hey, let's go back and regroup. But our guys fought hard. They battled hard. I was proud of the effort.
Even within the confines of the game, you get a goal waved off. There's a goal scored against you that may or may not have been offside. I mean, all these things that are just, and they continue to pile on. But again, you guys just kept the nose to the grindstone, and really the confidence that they've started to build over the early part of the year, where they've been through these situations, been behind, and learned how to fight back. That's where you start to see the fruits.
I think so.
Yeah, unfortunately,
we have when you look at October, and every week's a 3-game week.
Juicy right out in front.
This is a difficult month, and with the players that are missing, it's just going to make it that much more difficult. But as we get to more friendlier second part of the year, as these kids are learning and eating up some very valuable minutes, I think it'll make us a better hockey team as long as we can get healthy.
You mentioned another long week coming up, and it'll start off Wednesday night. Got the Vernon Vipers coming back in here, and it's been noted duly by yourself and others that the first time Vernon was here, maybe we didn't put our best foot forward per se, but we get another opportunity to face one of the top teams in the league in our barn this week.
Yeah, we're playing again. They're a veteran team, very good hockey club. They're very well coached. That you're right. We weren't happy more so with how we played in the third period against them here, but it's going to take our A game to collect points on Wednesday.
And then as the weekend rolls on, you got a trip to West Kelowna Friday, and then back home against Merritt, and now we get into the part of the year where we're starting to see teams for the second and third times that we hadn't, whereas at the beginning of the year, you're learning teams. So it's kind of tough to look past the first one, but as you cast the long shadow across the week, talk about what's most important for your team to be prepared for the long haul for this week.
Well, I just think we have to be doing everything on and off the ice to have ourselves ready to play hockey on Wednesday. And then when we're done on Wednesday, we get a day off before we play on Friday. And it's eliminate the mistakes that create L's. Eliminate those. But at the same time, sticking true to who we are, that we need to make plays, that we need to play with speed, that we need to create opportunities. And Again, we want to stay to who we are. It'd be real easy to slow things down and sit back and trap and try play a 1-0 or a 2-1 game and eke out points that way. But that's not who we are. We need to keep developing hockey players and playing the right way, and we're going to do everything we can to try to keep collecting points.
The last player to talk about today is a guy, and it's, to me, what the name that comes to mind when I think of him is just horse, and that's Jasper Weatherby.
Well, him and Slava, they've been our 2 MVPs. I mean, those 2 guys are eating up so many minutes for us right now, and Jasper's turned himself into one of them, a bona fide high-end recruit that he's hearing from everybody right now, and you feel really happy for a guy like him that's worked hard, kind of bided his time last year, and now he's turned into one of not only our best players, but I feel one of the best power forwards in the league.
Well, there you go, and you'll have a chance to see him on the ice twice this week at Town Toyota Center, Wednesday night against the Vernon Vipers, and remember, Saturday night is team poster night with the post-game autograph session. The Wild will face the Merritt Centennials at 7:05. Remember, Wednesday start time is 6:30, as will be for all Wednesday games at home this year. That'll wrap it up for this week's edition. Thanks for tuning in. This is Call of the Wild. I'm Arch Ecker. He's Bliss Littler. Have a great week, everyone.
You've been listening to Call of the Wild, the official weekly coaches show of the Wenatchee Wild, a presentation of the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network.